Chapter 47. With a flash of white light, we were on the battlefield. I'd like to say that with the sense of finality that it deserves. With a final flash of light, we were on the battlefield. Suddenly my ability to sense energy was back in full force, and I was nearly bowled over by the massive power levels already shooting sky high. One thing that struck me hard was the lack of indicators for the battle starting, or the pop-up telling me their levels. While I could sense their power levels as they were, without more information, I had no way of telling how strong they could really be. I could only imagine whatever powers the Xenos are using for this tournament are messing with the gamer ability. Sensing the dragon close by, I make my decision. Broly, let's focus on Omega Seze. I yell, slamming my energy up and up. With a sharp crack, the air around me compresses and shatters like glass, the pressure we've created warping the laws of physics. Majin Buu is launched away from us while the ground around us churns like liquid. My aura goes pink, while Broly's shifts into a luminescent green. I narrow my eyes at the color change, but ignore it for the time being. Like soft fabric, my body is coated in the pink energy for a moment, before it shatters away to reveal my Super Saiyan Rose form. I lock onto massive alien energy signature and throw myself into the air. Broly's blazing form is right behind me, his legendary Super Saiyan God form a beacon of light. The landscape of the battlefield is almost like a biome border. Part mountain, part forest, part plains. It's like it was cut from another world and pasted into place solely for our use. I can sense Seze on the other side of the smallest mountain and consider how best to surprise him. With the slightest shrug, I slam right through the mountain, a crack slicing through it at an angle. Broly follows right behind me, his energy carving a hole twice as wide as the one I left, causing the mountain to begin sliding down. I can feel a battle begin nearer the plains where Timeline 6 was at, but I ignore it in favor of my goal. I break out into the open air, Omega Seze floating just a dozen feet in front of me. His massive form is stoic, arms crossed, a look of boredom fixed on his face. He reacts almost sluggishly, perhaps out of boredom, perhaps out of apathy, but he barely blocks my opening hit. Aimed at his face, he slaps it aside with his forearm. I use the momentum to bring my knee up, and that catches him full force in the face. Broly appears on the opposite side, but Seze seems to finally be ready for us. His already impressive power level jumps up above our own, and he reacts much faster than before. Broly and I were over 250T at this point, so having him equal our power levels was disconcerting. He blocks my kick, catching it midair, as he ducks a nasty punch from Broly on the other side. He tries to swing me out, but Broly brings an elbow down on his arm, knocking me free. Using instant transmission, I pop a few feet back and rush back in. Another pop and Broly and I have changed places, a palm full of energy slamming into Seze's back. At the same moment, Broly's body expands massively, slamming his arm across Seze's front in a passable clothesline. Flipping end over end away from us, I rush after him. However, as soon as I get close, his aura explodes around him, a mix of black, white, and gold. Righting himself immediately, he manages to catch me off guard with a hard punch to the gut that launches me away. This isn't going to be close to easy. Platforms. As the fighters were transported down to the battlefield, high above the platforms for each timeline floated over to each other, melding together to form one long one. 3 Beerus for Whis, 3 Shin, 1 Frost Demon, and 1 Daikeo. It almost sounds like the beginning to a dumb joke, but it was actually a collection of the strongest beings in the universes. If I may ask Lord Daikeo, what happened to my counterpart in your timeline? One of the 3 Shins asked. He was removed for not doing his duty, Supreme Kai. Beerus from KLL's timeline replied. I suppose that makes sense. Perhaps we should all share information on the going-ons in our respective timeline? Another Shin offers. They are clearly wildly different, and that information may help us do our jobs better. One of us will remain in the end, after all. Oh, that's a splendid idea, Supreme Kai. Another Supreme Kai says. Wait, another Beerus asks. How the hell did you kill me in your timeline? The Frost Demon glances slightly at Beerus before smirking and looking back down at the battlefield. Tell them the story, Whis. He orders. Yes, Lord Zero, of course, Whis replies, before turning to face the audience. Battlefield. Hello, Sana. Bara says, looking over at his long-dead wife. Bara, I know you're not really my Bara, but that doesn't stop my stomach from filling with blood-sucking ape flies. Sana replies, looking longingly at Bara. You know, I once said that to someone else, and they told me that on their planet, they say butterflies. Bara replies. I don't know what those are, but it sounds better, I think. Sana laughs before walking over and hugging Bara. He hesitates before hugging her back. A moment passes as the explosions of battle around them increases and decreases, like the roar of waves at the beach. At once they pull apart, with Bara hopping back about 10 feet. Are you ready? Bara asks. Majin Buu told me that if we win this battle, he will release you from inside him. As much as you look like him, I have no choice but to go all out here. Sana replies. I killed the Majin Buu in my timeline after he absorbed you, Bara says, as a white aura forms around him. Sparks of bioelectricity form around Sana's body, her muscles quivering and pulsing as she starts to ascend into her legendary Super Saiyan form. Did you ever fight me at my full strength? Sana grunts out, as her body rapidly expands, her hair spiking bright gold, her pupils fading away. I did, yeah. Several times. Bara replies, watching her transformation complete. Then you know you can't win, Sana says, before dropping into her fighting form. Bara frowns for a moment before his hair spikes golden, his white aura getting spikier and outlined in gold. Bioelectricity sparks around him, a mixture of energy coating his body. If you beat me here, stay away from Mokimi, Bara warns, dropping into his own battle form. He's a monster unlike any other. Majin View of Timeline 2 slides out from under several tons of rubble, where he had crashed after his teammates powered up. He reforms and finds himself face to face with another Majin View, one that isn't made from a piece of his own body. I see, he says, cocking his head slightly. Do we fight for dominance, or do we fight together? As one, a smile stretching from ear to ear forms, maniacal laughter echoing across the landscape. They both agreed. They will regret forcing us here. Mike lands heavily where he sensed Logan, seeing his friend crouch down, clutching his head in pain. Logan, he says, rushing over. Are you okay? No, I can't even think. These fucking voices are so unbearably loud. Always screaming, always begging. Logan replies, not even looking up. Shit. Alright, look, this is weird to say, but do you want me to kill you? Mike asks. Sana should be able to take care of your Bara quickly enough, so you'll be awake at the title screen in just a moment. Aye, Logan says, his eyes opening wide. Wider than they ever should, his eyes practically bulging out of their socket. Kill me, Mike. With no hesitation, Mike sends a bolt of energy into Logan's chest, piercing his heart. He drops to his knee, clutching the hole, before collapsing onto his back. The air around them seems to get heavier, a feeling of deep oppression coating every surface. Mike spits, the taste of copper filling his mouth. Static electricity builds up and sparks several times. Mike, Logan says, his eyes focusing and unfocusing. Mike, essa something is. Logan starts stuttering, his body shaking and bulging before shrinking back down to normal. He opens and closes his mouth, as though he is trying to say something. Mike, run. My pink aura is coated with a deep red for a moment as I push into Kaioken, my body flexing almost unnaturally as I bend forward at the waist, my leg arching up to kick Omega Sazay in the chest. Broly has moved into his legendary Super Saiyan form, his buff body coated in the glowing green of his god form. His massive hand wraps around Sazay's arm, yanking him back towards me. I form a small blade of energy around my hand, hoping to slice Sazay's head off, when a massive explosion blinds me, burning the last image I saw in my mind. I manage to right myself, homing in on Sazay's energy. Realizing he's just as blind as I am, and that I won't get another chance like this, I increase the size of the energy blade coating my hand and point it in his direction. Lucky shot activated. 0.71%. My eyes widen in surprise at the alert, a feat I'd gotten years ago, mostly ignored as it had never activated, showing its usefulness at last. Platform. There is a blinding flash of light and heat, an explosion of energy that is barely held back by a now visible shimmering energy field. Two of the Shins gasp in surprise, while all four Xenos cheer. Zero the Frost Demon hops to his feet, and quickly makes his way to the edge of the platform, glaring down into the bright light. Shit. The light fades, showing my blade of energy has sliced through Omega Sazay's chest. I assume it's missed whatever it has that counts as a heart as it isn't dead, its hands wrapped around the blade sticking out of his chest. Sorry, Sazay, I whisper, before shoving more energy into the blade. It expands instantly, spreading open like a blazing spherical net of energy, slicing him into pieces as Trunks did to Frieza. Broly follows up with a blast of energy, each of the small pieces being blasted away into dust. High above, a loud gong reverberates across the arena. Platform. Timeline 5 has been eliminated, one of the Grand Ministers says. One of the Xenos waves to the others before he fades away, taking Zero, Shin, and Whis with him. Beerus from Timeline 2 glares down at KLL and Broly in the arena. They had better win this, he says before swallowing heavily. Sana's massive fist slams into the ground, barely missing Bara as he dodges another one of her attacks. Mixing Super Saiyan with potential unlocked was a struggle, even more so using Super Saiyan 2. It was hundreds of times easier than using Super Saiyan 3 for any long period of time, as the stamina being used was almost negligible in comparison. Time slowed to a crawl, allowing him to slip past her grasping hand and kick her under the chin, snapping her head back. With a pop, he used instant transmission to jump 10 feet back, dodging her follow-up. You're strong, Sana, I'll give you that, Bara says after he touches back down on the ground. But my Sana was stronger. I don't want to kill you, but to win this thing I will. Will you let me make it easy for both of us? I don't want any version of you to suffer. Sana hesitates before her body starts shrinking. You're much stronger than I thought you would be. Stronger than my Bara was, last I saw him. I'm sure he would have reached these heights before long. I doubt any version of me would ever be weak. Bara replies, thank you for powering down. Will you make it quick? Sana asks, her voice whisper quiet now that she's in her base form. Bara begins to reply when two things happen faster than he can react to. Sana's form is engulfed in blazing red fire, her body disappearing in a flash of movement. At what seems the same time, arms wrap softly around his neck and head, wreathed in flames. Goodbye, my love, Sana whispers in his ear as her sleeper hold tightens. Bara struggles, trying to break free, pushing as much of his energy as he can into his limbs. As a last-ditch effort, he tries ascending to Super Saiyan 3, but his body can't handle mixing it with potential unlocked, so he loses control of both. With no other options available to him, he closes his eyes and lets everything fade to black. Goodbye, Sana. He thinks, his final thoughts on her. A minute later, Sana lets his body drop to the ground, a dull thump the only sound accompanying it. She drops to her knees, the red aura dropping away as well, as she sobs over the lookalike of her husband. Sana. She hears from across the area, getting her attention. Help! Mike was covered in burns from the earlier explosion, but was fighting against it regardless. He wasn't sure what had happened to Logan, but the Namekian was doing things he didn't think was possible. After the explosion, where Logan had once laid, now 3 identical Namekians were there. Mike had of course seen the multiform technique, but that technique split the power level of the user. As far as he could tell, Logan's power level hadn't changed at all. If anything, it had gone up. Even then, this wouldn't be an issue for him. While Logan was strong, even with 3 of him, Mike's power level was dozens of times stronger. The real issue was that every time he killed one, that body would split into 2 more copies. Like the Hydra of Earth Legends, for each head he took, 2 more took its place. 17 Logans now stood before him, attacking him from every angle, overwhelming him with sheer numbers. Sana, he yells, sensing Baradai. Help! Sana slams into the ground next to him a moment later, sending several of the Namekians flying. What the hell is this? I don't know, he replies, blasting another Namekian, causing it to split in 2. Just help me kill them. One of them launches at her, but is met in midair by a blast that engulfs him completely. Sana's aura turns back into fire, while Mike's hair and aura flash red as well. I think we need to kill them all at once. Mike yells, kicking one so hard it almost turns into a paste. Sana nods, before bringing her palms together, releasing a wide beam of energy that decimates all the Namekians on her side. As the smoke clears, over 30 Namekians are forming. Should we help them? Broly asks, watching the fight far below. No, let them handle it, I reply, watching the battle rage. We should find the other Majin Buu and destroy him. That would only leave Mike and Sana, which I'm pretty sure we could actually beat. A blast of energy is swatted away by Mike, arching upwards to slam into the shimmering energy field protecting the platform. I look down at the rest of the battlefield, spreading my senses out to try and find Majin Buu. I don't sense either of them, I tell Broly after a moment. I can't help but feel that doesn't bode well. Do you think that they were both destroyed while we fought Saze? Broly asks after opening his own eyes. I don't know. Platform. What do you mean that's not interference? One of the Beerus argues. That team has over 100 fighters. My lord, they are the same person, the same energy. They are only one fighter. One of the Whis replies. Should we not do something about that? One of the Shin asks. I'm not sure how it's happening, but they are creating mass and energy. Timeline 3 is quickly becoming unstable. No, let it be. Timeline 3's Grand Minister says. If the timeline collapses, that's one less Lord Zeno will need to erase. The remaining Shin, previously silent, finally speaks. Timeline 3 is already lost. What do you mean? The first Shin asks. The Namekian has split before. He went mad over a decade ago, absorbing the remnants of his species, and making wish after wish on all 3 sets of their Dragon Balls. Right now, as he fights down below, thousands and thousands of copies of him war and ravage the universe. Timeline 3's Shin replies. There is almost no life left after his warpath. I tried repeatedly to get Beerus to step in, but it's not my job, as I told you multiple times. All 3 Beerus say, before locking eyes with each other. All eyes return back to the battlefield. Sprout, we can't keep this up forever. Sana yells, dodging a wave of Namekians. They had been at this for nearly 10 minutes and tried just about everything. Even mass attacks that destroy them all did nothing. All right, fly up. Mike yells, launching into the sky, Sana following right after him. As they reach 100 feet, Mike's energy doubles, his hair turning bright putrid green, his form rapidly expanding. Sana is launched away by the sudden increase in pressure. What the fuck? She whispers, seeing him transform. He spins in place, a sphere of energy encapsulating him, spinning faster and faster till he's nothing more than a blur within the ball of energy. Below, the Namekians are rallying, beginning to rise into the air as one massive being. With a roar, the ball of energy starts shooting off little motes of energy that cascade down, slicing into the horse of Namekians as they come up. More and more energy flows down, slicing through more Namekians, going on to kill another Namekian. The mass attack seems to hold off the horde, slowly pushing them back and to the ground. Sana, Mike yells from within. I'm going to pulverize them. Use your best attack, and finish them off. Another pulse of energy, smaller motes of energy flying down like a waterfall, turning the collection of Namekians into paste. Sana raises both hands above her head, filling her palms with a ball of energy nearly 4 times her size. Now Sana, Mike yells, his orb of energy collapsing around him. With a whoosh, she throws the ball down, its size increasing several times over as she's no longer in contact with it to control it. It slams down into what remains of the Namekians, some already starting to reform and split, a deafening explosion following suit. Platform. Look out! One of the Shins yells, covering his face. The explosion far below roars upwards towards them, being halted by the shimmering field of energy. You needn't worry, Supreme Kai. Whis of Timeline 3 says. This field blocks all energy and beings that are not divine. While some of them have access to God Ki, they themselves are not divine beings. Their energy cannot break this seal. Oh, Shin replies. I am quite thankful. Those scions are throwing around a massive amount of energy. Oomph. Even so, the only ones in danger would be you and Daikeo. Beerus huffs. None of the remaining fighters are strong enough to even bruise anyone else up here. Quite right, Lord Beerus. Whis replies. Are you okay? Sana asks, looking at the scion she knows as Sprout. He's huffing, having burned through a lot of energy with that attack. Add on ascending into legendary Super Scion while using God Ki, and he was almost exhausted. Yeah, holy shit. He whispers. That was insane. Sana smiles, nodding. I agree. He seemed to be almost immortal, but that would have been against the rules. True. Still, I don't sense. Far below, trillions upon trillions of Namekian cells were splitting again, attempting to recreate the host of their entire species. A slurry of Namekian cells binding together, growing, reforming, reaching for the sky above. KLL? Broly asks, glancing over. Yeah, now we should help. Several blasts of energy take out small chunks of his body, but they regrow almost immediately. He climbs to his feet, looking around at what is almost unfamiliar landscape. His mind is clear, no whispers or screams. Another blast of energy slams into his chest, knocking him back a step, leaving a small bruise. He rubs at the spot before another blast cuts across his cheek. On instinct, he swats at some sort of insect buzzing near his face, his mind clear but filled with confusion. Look out! Mike yells as Logan's massive hand swipes at Sana. Sana barely manages to dodge, blasting another small chunk out of Logan's neck before it immediately heals. Another swipe, faster than before, almost clips her, the wind from the attack sending her spinning like a top. She manages to right herself, but her vision is blocked by a massive shadow, another hand descending towards her to end her life. Brol dash. I start, but he's already moving. I can't say if it was fatherly instinct or just who Broly was, but in less than the time it took for me to realize what was happening and prepare to tell Broly no, he had already made his move. As the hand came down to swat Sana from the sky like a gnat, Broly appeared in a loud pop of energy, pushing her out of the way. He curled up as best he could as the hand slammed into him, launching him into the ground far below, the resulting crash loud enough to make my teeth hurt. No! I screamed, releasing a boiling column of energy into the massive Namekian's chest. The blast slams into it, pushing it back, but not doing any obvious damage. I know I need to get to Broly now if I'm to save him, so I push into Kaioken X10. A massive upwelling of power floods into my beam, slamming into the thing's chest and carrying it backward. It crashes down onto the remains of the mountain, flattening it, a several-inch deep hole burned into its chest. I drop, burning energy to get to the ground as fast as I can, shoving a senzu bean into my mouth to stay conscious, landing in the crater that houses Broly. Broly's in his base form, gasping for air, blood leaking from everywhere. I lift his head, pushing a senzu bean into his mouth, which he quickly chews and swallows. I set him back down gently, climbing back to my feet to face our foe. Standing at over 150 feet tall, the Namekian I know as Logan has become a formidable opponent. I don't know what happened, but it seemed that all the copies of him had fused together, each adding another bit of their energy to the whole, till this final version remained. I'd barely managed to damage it by multiplying my power level by 10 times. I may be able to knock it out or kill it if I use the higher forms of Kaioken, but there was no guarantee. KLL, Broly says as he climbs to his feet. What do we do? What we always do, Broly, I tell him, glancing back over my shoulder. Hit it with everything we've got. Mokimi/Logan. The pain in his chest had faded quickly, the dazed, cloudy feeling in his mind only making it easier to ignore. He stumbles to his feet before a sharp pain in his head sends him crashing to his knees. Let us out! Let us out! Let us out! Let us out! Just like before, the voices start faintly, no more than a whisper in the back of his mind. The slow build up till they are so loud you can't even hear is the worst, knowing what is coming. The giant Namekian grabs his head, screaming. The screams are so loud the ground shakes beneath us all. Mike and Sana land next to Broly and I consider killing them both here, and now to make things easier for us after we deal with Logan. I glance at Broly, but I can tell from the look on his face that killing them is the farthest thing from his mind. Holy shit, Billy, how do you have Super Saiyan Rose? Mike asks the moment he sees me. What is Super Saiyan Rose? Sana asks. It's a mixture of Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God, but it's normally blue, Mike replies. I don't actually know. I've never had time to figure it out. I reply truthfully. Well, try to be careful with it, Mike says, looking upward. The force field stops all energy that isn't divine. If you're not careful, you might endanger the Xenos, and they'll erase you instantly. Rose is a divine form, so I'm almost certain you can pass through it. Wait, really? I ask. How do you know they would erase me? In my third playthrough, Zero was doing a min-max game. He was so strong that he broke the barrier, and when the platform broke, they erased him on the spot. Mike explains. My team won that one. I point my finger towards the edge, a thin beam of energy shooting off and passing right through the barrier. I consider getting Broly to try as well, but a plan is already forming in my mind. We need to finish off Logan. I remind them as his screams turn to whimpers. Yeah, I don't know how much damage we can do to him. Mike says, this is my first playthrough as LSS, so I haven't maxed everything out yet. What are you two talking about? Sana interrupts. Playthroughs? Maxed out. How did you know about the barrier sprout? Ah, Mike stutters, pausing. Don't worry about it, Sana. We've got more important things to worry about, I tell them, pointing at Logan. He stumbled to his feet, little rivulets of green blood dripping from his eyes and ears. He looks around wildly before his eyes lock on to our position. I'll hold him off, I tell them. You have 30 seconds to put as much energy into a combined attack as you can. Exactly 30 seconds. With a loud cry, I shove every ounce of energy I have out, launching into the sky. The moment before I reach Logan, I slam into Super Kaioken X20. The instant strain on my body was massive, my aura increasing till I was practically a comet in the sky. I slam into Logan's chest, knocking him back 100 feet, spinning in the air to dodge his massive hand as he tries to swat me like a fly. I fire off a blast of energy, cooking his arm, which wrinkles and falls away only to instantly be replaced with another arm. He releases a blast of energy from his mouth that is thicker than the largest buildings on Earth or planet Scion. I barely managed to dodge, the heat of it burning some of my hair away. A direct hit would have cooked me, I think using instant transmission to get a better angle. I send another volley of energy into Logan's face, blinding him temporarily, as my time dwindles down. I'd worked hard in the time chamber to get my time up with Super Kaioken, but all I could manage was 30 seconds with X20. The stress it put on my system was massive. While useful for the Zenkai I'd received from healing, passing out and nearly dying wasn't a good idea on the battlefield. Broly reascended into his legendary Super Saiyan God form, pumping a massive amount of energy into the combined attack building behind me. I grabbed another Senzu Bean, popping it into my mouth, and jumping into the pocket dimension between time and space. Now! I scream, reappearing in the air behind Mike, Sana, and Broly. I bite down on the Senzu Bean while bringing my hands forward and adding a quick burst of my own energy into the massive ball of energy. Together, they release the attack, zeroing in on Logan's massive form. With a large jolt shooting through my body, I collapse to the hard ground behind them, losing Super Saiyan Rose in the process. I quickly swallow the chewed Senzu Bean, everything fading back into view as I manage to catch it before I passed out. KLL, Broly yells, grabbing my attention. Help! I push back into Rose, appearing instantly by his side, and adding more of my energy to the attack. The ball of energy is fed by a stream coming from all four of us, but Logan is holding it in place with his bare hands. We can smell his burning flesh, but I can already tell this isn't going to be enough. He's simply too strong, too large, and his regeneration is far beyond a normal Namekian's. KLL, you need to do it. Broly yells, his eyes locked on the attack ahead of us. I can't. I yell back, pushing into Super Kaioken, adding even more energy into the attack. You know that. Logan is being pushed back, his massive feet digging in and tearing up the ground. With a mighty heave, he pushes the ball back, energy filling his hands as he starts fighting back in earnest. Do you have any senses left? Broly asks, sweat pouring down his face. I know. I yell back, my stamina draining rapidly. Then you know it has to be done. Broly replies, glancing over at me for the first time since this struggle began. If we don't, I will die either way. Broly. I start, but he interrupts me. Do it, KLL. I won't be able to hold this forever when you let go, he says before turning back to concentrate. The energy Logan is pumping into his own attack is absurd, and that's coming from me. Even our combined energy isn't enough to end this, and I can tell. I don't care if Mike and Sana die, but Broly has long since become one of my best friends. Two choices, neither of which will guarantee victory, but could potentially kill us both. Time chamber. Broly's eyes flutter for a moment before popping open and staying open. His eyes focus a second later before he turns his head to face me. KLL, what happened? Broly asks as I help him to his feet. You nearly transformed, I tell him. I had to cut off your tail to stop it. I see. I didn't look at your fake moon, I promise. Broly replies, feeling his missing tail. I know, Mori saw. It's a good thing I hadn't looked yet, and he saw you start transforming. We may have all died from the power you were putting off so suddenly. I reply, why do I feel so weak? Broly asks after a few seconds of silence. I don't know. I think it's because of your tail. I tell him. Will? Broly asks. It will grow back. I had Muri heal you specifically so it would grow back. Losing well over half of your power wouldn't be good for you. I reach over, grabbing Broly's arm, and use instant transmission to pull us free of the blast zone. As we reappear a good distance away, I see the beam of energy wash away Mike and Sana together. Keeping my hold on Broly's arm, I rear back and throw him as hard and fast as I can away from me, my left arm going up and forming a cup. A small ball of energy appears, pulsing with energy. I rear back and throw it high into the sky, squeezing my fist together, causing it to expand. Warning! Warning! Blutz waves detected. Transformation imminent. Warning! Warning! The alert starting chiming instantly as the waves of energy starting washing over me. I could only hope that Broly was far enough away as I turned my eyes skyward. Oh my! Timeline SXS Shin says, leaning forward in his chair. That's unexpected. What's the problem now, Supreme Kai? Beerus asks, chewing on a sandwich. That scion just transformed into a giant ape, Shin replies. Yes, they do have that ability. Though, I don't believe they use it anymore. The other forms they have are much more versatile. Whis explains, watching the proceedings below. Yes, I'm aware, Whis. But why is it pink? Broly crawls out from under a large expanse of rock that had landed on him as he crashed down, doing his best not to look at the glowing orb in the sky. He can feel the energy of it hitting him, but it's not quite as strong as he remembered before. It must be a distance difference, he thinks, watching the battle unfold. He knew that KLL didn't have control of his Oozuru form, even more so when he used it in conjunction with Super Saiyan God and Rose. The size difference was much less than before, with KLL's Oozuru reaching Logan's waist. Every swing of his fist or blast of energy from his mouth was taking chunks out of Logan. However, each bit of damage was healed away, leaving the giant Namekian perfectly fine. KLL was close to 100 times as powerful now, but he couldn't direct that power well enough to destroy the Namekian. With a roar, KLL manages to rip the arm off the Namekian, tossing it aside, before jumping onto the Namekian and bring it to the ground. They roll around, punching, blasting, and in KLL's case, biting each other, but it was clear that with all that power, KLL could not win this fight. The giant Namekian manages to get on top, and begins to pound down onto KLL. I'm too far away to support with energy attacks. If I get too close, I'll most likely die, Broly thought, desperately trying to find a way to help. I have no choice, Broly says, moving forwards into the light. I was aware of a pressure on my arm, my vision filled with red, an all-encompassing rage. The red was fading, my face burning with pain, as everything cleared. I was unsteady, heavy off balance. Where? What? I thought, trying to get my bearings. The pressure on my arm increased, drawing my attention at last. A massive green hand held on tightly, squeezing and shaking my arm. I followed the hand to an equally green arm until it reaches a massive body. Red eyes stare back at me, a face that is almost recognizable. Broly? I ask, staring in the bright green-furred face of my friend. KLL, relax, he says, releasing my arm, his voice rumbling. I look down at my body, nearly blinded by the bright pink. My cloudy mind clears, and I realize what's happened. A flashing alert gets my attention, my mind fully at attention. Control unlocked. Plus 40M. Form unlocked, Super Saiyan 4 tail required. Form unlocked, Super Saiyan 4 God tail required. Form unlocked, Super Saiyan 4 Rose tail required. As soon as I saw it, I felt it. My body was rapidly shrinking, a red-pink haze filling the air around me as my body shrank down and down till I only 6 feet tall. I say only, but I was actually half a foot taller than normal. My body was mostly covered in pink-red fur, my large hair even larger, hanging down to mid-back and sides over my shoulders. It was as bright pink as my rose form but spikier. The power coursing through me was unreal. A number I didn't even know staring back at me. Broly was shrinking as well, perhaps seeing me doing it triggering the transformation for him as well. A blast of energy engulfs me, but feels no hotter than a slight breeze on a warm day. I'll be with you in a moment, I say, release a blast of energy that melts Logan's upper body away. I fly gently over to Broly, who floats in the air, looking much the same as me. His aura and fur is darker green, but his hair is the luminescent green of his aura. The wish, I say, realizing how it had changed. Broly nods, before looking towards Logan, who is finally reforming. Shall I? I nod, before turning my face upward. As strong as Logan is, I have something else to take care of. Far below, one of the Scions releases a blast of energy that destroys the Namekian completely, down to the atoms that powered it. Timeline 3 is defeated. Timeline 3's Grand Minister announces. But wait, Timeline 3's Shin says, interrupting. Mokimi may have been destroyed here, but he still lives elsewhere in the universe. He's not yet defeated. It matters not. Timeline 3 has no more fighters here. We have lost. The Grand Minister replies, nodding at his contemporaries. The Xeno from Timeline 3 nodes, fading away, taking Shin, Whis, Beerus, the Grand Minister, and the rest of Time 3 with him. 2 timelines remain. Timeline 2's Grand Minister says, looking downward once more. Where did KLL go? Beerus asks, glaring downward. I'm right here, comes a voice behind them. They all whip around, eyes widening at my appearance. What are you doing up here? Beerus asks angrily at the same time the remaining Shin asks. How did you pass the barrier? I ignore Shin, my eyes meeting Beerus's eyes as I grin openly. I told you once, Beerus, that I would make you regret everything. Killing Shin, attacking me, even forcing me to fight in this tournament. Barring me from Otherworld? Hiding away my friends? I'm here to make that a reality at last. Regret? Beerus asks, getting to his feet. You're strong, brat, but still not strong enough to beat me. Get back down there and finish this battle, or you'll have even more to regret. You're close, KLL, but not quite, Whis says, stepping in between us. Please finish the tournament, so we can all leave. You'll have plenty of time to fight Lord Beerus later. I glance at Whis for a moment, before my eyes settle on Beerus once more. How about fuck you instead? I say before instant transmission carries me away. I reappear just inches from Daikeo, my hand already against his face. The blast of energy I release erases his head, but misses everyone standing behind him. No! Beerus cries out, collapsing to his feet, clutching his chest. Whis, reverse it! Reverse it! My lord, I'm sorry. We're outside of time here. I can't reverse it. Whis replies, staring at me with an unreadable expression. Regret that, I reply, before popping away again. Beerus collapses to the ground, all of his energy leaking away. A moment later, he too fades away. Whis! The Grand Minister asks. Yes, father. Whis replies, staring down into the arena. You have 1 standard year to choose a successor to God of Destruction if your team wins. He tells him, I think I may already have one in mind. Whis thinks, eyes still facing downward. Where did you go? Broly asks as I reappear next to him. I killed Beerus, I replied matter-of-factly. Sana's group is still up there. I think their Majin Buu is still around. How shall we track them down? Broly asks. I haven't sensed them. I ignore the question for the moment, shifting between Super Saiyan 4 God and Super Saiyan 4 Rose. Both felt rather easy to use, with about a 20% difference in power between the two. God had my fur a darker red, with my hair following, while Rose had the standard fur pink hair. It was almost funny, with Broly being bright neon green, and I being neon pink. I point my palm at the ground, an absolutely massive amount of energy forming in my palm. I glance at Broly, who nods at me, agreeing that vaporizing the entire landmass is the correct choice. Stop! We hear, both slowly rotating towards the voice. Majin Buu stands before us, whole and complete. His energy is gone completely, unable to be sensed. Which Majin Buu are you? I ask. My timelines or the other? As soon as he even begins to reply, my hand is already up, a blast of energy wiping him out, not even leaving dust behind. It's cathartic to finally kill Majin Buu, a sense of relief passing over me. There may be many more pieces of him sprinkled all over my universe, but I would have time to track him down. Not a piece would remain if I had my way. Is that at KLL? Broly asks, watching the platform above us. I think so. I reply. Unless Majin Buu left another piece here somewhere. Since they haven't announced our victory, I assume he's still alive. Again I point my palm at the ground, ready to erase it from existence when I spot something I wasn't expecting. Mike! I say, pointing downward. He's crawling his way out of the rubble, his body burned and covered in bruises. His left arm hangs at an unnatural angle, showing that it's broken in at least 2 places. With a mutual nod, Broly and I land near him. Wow! He says when he sees us. How is that even possible? Broly and I meet eyes before turning back. Which part? Both, he replies, coughing and covering his mouth. He's the legendary Super Saiyan. Oozaru should have killed him, let alone Super Saiyan 4. Not only that, but you're both mixing Super Saiyan God with it. No one else has done that so far. You're both almost as strong as Zero in his final golden form. I mean, really close. It doesn't matter, man. We've got to end this, and you're all that's left. I tell him, all that's left? Is that your Majin Buu then? He asks, pointing behind us. I whip around, looking for Majin Buu, already realizing that I've been played. I duck down, a kick brushing through my hair, just barely being dodged. The white outline and gray hair and eyes quickly tell me that this won't be as easy as I'd hoped. Ultra Instinct. I ask, meeting Mike's gaze. I thought I'd have to defeat Zero this time, so I went all out, Mike says as his body finishes healing. I really am sorry. If I hadn't gone this far, you'd actually be certain to win this. I take it you ate a senza bean when you coughed? I ask, dropping into my fighting stance. His aura sharpens, blurring away before his fist and sliding past my face, just barely missing me as I duck sideways. I bring my knee up, trying to catch him in the stomach, but one of his hands are already in the way of the attack. A blast of energy flies through the air, nearly touching my face to slam into Mike's side. He spins away, his foot catching my chin as he's tossed away. To turn being attacked into an attack against me shows just how powerful Ultra Instinct is. Moving so quickly that I'm not even sure how it happened. He's gone from landing to slamming his fist in my stomach. The momentum brings my head down, which I use to slam my forehead into his nose. He was able to lean back, but not enough to completely negate the blow. He leans back almost completely, Broly's leg slicing through the air where he was. Even to my own eyes, which I swear at this point could see faster than light, he leaves an afterimage as he moves. I twist, a kick of his going wide, yet somehow dodges Broly's large hand trying to grab him at the same time. I slide under Broly's arm, and somehow due to the awkward maneuver manage to land a hard slash to his side. Again though, it seems that every hit he takes gives him another chance to turn his defensive motions offensive, as he hits the ground and rolls, coming up off the ground with a kick that snaps Broly's head back. I throw a blast of energy at his back, but he knows it's coming before I even release it, and manages to duck below it like he's playing limbo. Flash! He hand comes up as he leans down, a blast of energy catching me in the chest, drilling through and out my back. Flash! With a sharp yank of my energy, I use instant transmission to traverse past Mike, appearing next to Broly. The blast of energy that should have killed me spikes through the spot where I was the moment I appear. Mike spins, following my energy signature, pausing for a moment. How did you dodge that? He asks, looking mildly confused. With a pop I reappear next to him, my hand burning with sharpened energy, attempting to bisect Mike where he stands. His hand intersects my own, slapping the attack aside. My other hand lights up as well, another slash dodged. Slash slash slash. I try to land a single cut, but nothing is making it through the ultimate defense. I can sense Broly charging an attack, but I'm not quite sure how best to hold Mike down long enough to let it hit. Mike follows up my desperate attacks with several shots to my body, one of which I use to cut his arm shallowly. His eyes glance at the cut before, with a burst of speed, he hits me with 4 hits in succession that leave me reeling. Flash! Flash! I gasp in horror, turning on the spot, ignoring Mike completely. With a crack like thunder, I use a good portion of my energy to smash through time and space, trying desperately to get to Broly in time. I slam into a wall of resistance a dozen feet away, moving as though through syrup. I push and push, flaring my energy, but I can see through the thin barrier that holds this pocket dimension together that it was already too late. I had played into their hand, and I wasn't going to get a chance to live with the consequences. With a shattering like glass, I break through the barrier holding me back, reality orienting around me once me. A massive blast of energy engulfs the area, throwing me back hard, as Broly loses control of his attack. The wall of pink goo encapsulates him, sucking him in, its ability to grow almost infinitely, stopping Broly from escaping. I slam into the ground, rolling before I manage to dig my hand in and stop my momentum. With a lurch, I make my feet, blinded by white light from Majin Buu's transformation. Fuck! I yell, flooding my hands with energy, the last-ditch effort to kill this abomination before it can fully absorb Broly. Like a light switch being thrown, my energy is gone, taken away by a thin blade of energy at the base of my tail. My Super Saiyan 4 God form disappears, the loss of energy and cohesion like a blast of Arctic water. Mike appears in my face, his knee slamming into my chest, sending me flying backward. I crash through a small outcropping of rock, sliding through the dirt and mud, before stopping against some trees. I manage to pull my aching body back to my hands and knees in time to see Majin Buu emerge. His height has increased, standing at least 8 feet tall. His upper body is thick, roiling with muscles reminiscent of Broly's legendary Super Saiyan form. His head tentacle has multiplied, covering his head like thick hair, hanging down and covering his shoulders like Broly's hair as a Super Saiyan 4. His aura is bright neon green, but his energy is a mixture of the void from before and God Ki. Mike appears a dozen feet from him, landing lightly on his feet. Good job, Buu, he says before glancing back at me. I wasn't sure I could handle them both, so I'm glad you were around to follow the plan. Majin Buu ignores him, continuing to inspect his body. He flexes each hand into a fist, closing his eyes. A pulse of his energy, and the entire arena shatters as he pushes his power to its fullest, the barrier around it quickly following. Little motes of energy drift downward from the shattered barrier, filling the air like blossom leaves, the chunks of the arena floating in place by the magic of the dimension. Majin Buu! Mike yells, catching himself in the air. Majin Buu opens his eyes, at last, a wide smirk forming on his face. You mentioned a plan? He asks, starting to laugh. Your plan was doomed from the start, Scion. It hinged on your timeline's Majin Buu being stronger than I, that our merger would go to him. Faster than I can see, his hand is grabbing Mike by the throat, elongating and slamming him through the floating remains of the arena. Mike scrabbles at the squishy hand, even the massive power boost from Ultra Instinct unable to bridge the gap. Majin Buu's aura grows and grows, filling the air around us with sparks of energy that scorches everything it touches. But you were wrong. High above, both remaining Xenos wail, as the platform they sit upon shakes. Several arcs of energy slap the bottom of both platforms, the stone-like material melting and scorching, tossing them to and fro. One of the arcs slides over the side, heading directly for the remaining Supreme Kai. With a cry, Timeline SXS Beerus jumps in the way, the energy burning his fur and skin on contact, causing him to cry out. Timeline SXS brandishes his scepter, the gem atop it opening a portal that sucks Shin within, closing quickly behind. With a shout of rage, his dark purple aura ignites around him, pushing the arc of energy away to where it fizzles out. Beerus rushes to the edge, clearly preparing to jump down to interfere. Do not interfere. Timeline 2's Grand Minister orders immediately. Beerus stops mid-jump, glaring at him before all eyes turn back down. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Majin Buu's form had changed again, his hair tentacles growing spikier, his body getting taller and more muscular. Knowing that Broly is within, treated as little more than a battery, fills me with disgust. Majin Buu was using his God Ki and his full-power Super Saiyan 4 transformation. I glance up at the ball of white energy, and while I have the Blutz Waves indicator, I don't feel the Super Saiyan 4 transformation. Looks like, unlike canon, I simply couldn't transform again without my tail. A glance at my character sheet shows a progress bar marking me at 10% mastery for Super Saiyan 4, and no longer requiring a tail. Fuck, what do I do? What do I do? I think, glancing at all the potential options. Mike had finally freed himself and was fighting back, but Majin Buu had him outclassed. It was close, but he clearly had the advantage. I pushed back into Super Saiyan Rose, but my power level wasn't even close to either of them. I was sure that even trying to attack at this point was a fool's errand. Majin Buu had won. I could at least take solace in that on my next playthrough, I'd ensure Majin Buu was dead long before the tournament. My eyes drifted upwards at the platforms high above. I considered for a moment attacking the Xenos, maybe getting my timeline erased and taking Majin Buu with me. Shaking my head, I knew that that wasn't me. I was never one for underhanded tactics or finding workarounds. I went straight forward. I made things work with what I had. And what I have is a lot of energy and no way to use it. I think catching glimpses of the battle raging around me. My power level was 1/100th of what it was in Super Saiyan 4 Rose, and both Mike and Buu were nearly a quarter stronger than that. I had one shot, one chance to make this work. I closed my eyes, concentrating on the energy within me, swirling around in my core. With a hard push, I clamped down on it, condensing it, pushing every bit of it that I had into a tight ball of energy. More and more I fed into it, pumping my own energy and the God Ki I had access to as well. Every time my energy refilled, I pumped more and more into it, feeding this swirling ball of energy. It's time, I think, stretching out my senses. With a pop, I disappeared, my concentration almost entirely internal. Yet still, with all my practice, I could use instant transmission in my sleep. A secondary pop, and I was in place, Majin Buu's fist held tightly next to my head, Mike's hand squeezing it tightly to stop its movement. Majin Buu's eyes widen, but it's already too late, I've already let go. And with a blinding flash of light, I vanished, my last thought used to close a new alert. Bing! Final atonement learned. Unknown. My eyes snap open, and I jump to my feet, an infinite white void surrounding me. It reminds me heavily of the hyperbolic time chamber, but without the increased gravity. I look down and realize that I still have a body. Before, when I was at the start screen, it was a black void, and I had no body whatsoever. There was also a pop-up detailing my previous life, which is absent now. I look around a few more times, but nothing has changed. I assume that my timeline hasn't been erased yet, and that my game isn't over till it is. You're an idiot, I hear, causing me to whip around. Bibara, I whisper, my old friend standing just a few feet away. He looks no different than the last time I saw him, only 15 years old, same hair, everything. The only difference is the halo floating above his hair. Hey KLL, long time no see man, he says, approaching me and pulling me into a hug. What are you doing here? I ask after he lets go. Where is here for that matter? Here, he replies, looking around. It seems almost like the warrior's promise, doesn't it? Looking around again, I can't help but agree. But, why are we here? I ask. Aren't I dead? Baba gave me 10 minutes, KLL. He explains. You're not dead yet, and you've got a chance to win this still. That little suicide blast hurt Majin Buu and that other Scion, but it's hurt you worst. Thankfully you'll heal when you wake up. Bara, I can't win this. Without my tail, I can't reach my strongest form. Even then, they were stronger than I would be in that form. Absorbing Broly, who was already stronger than me, makes Majin Buu unstoppable. Bara just shakes his head, sighing. You've got all the potential you need, KLL. You always have. It won't make you stronger than they are. But when has that stopped you? How many battles have you won from the weaker spot? All of them. What are you talking about? I ask. I have nothing left. KLL, that other Bara was strong. He was this close, he says, holding his index and thumb close together, to mixing that unlocked potential form of yours with Super Saiyan 3. Super Saiyan 2 won't do it, KLL. You'll need to go further. As I said, you've always had more than enough potential. Alright. I think I understand. I reply, looking down. How is it you're always there when I need you, Bara? I don't know, man. Maybe I was always meant to help you. Bara replies. You're better than me, Bara. You always have been. I tell him, pulling him in for a final hug. I know. He replies, laughing. Thank you, Bara. If I win this, I'll bring you back to life. I'm not leaving you dead. I tell him. Bara smiles, nodding. We're all cheering for you, KLL. Now get out there and win this thing. The world shatters around us, blackness filling my vision. Good luck. My eyes pop open, and I immediately use my energy to reorient myself. Where before there was at least floating rocks, all that remains of the arena is dust. I don't understand what mechanic they are using to hold everything in place, but the bottom of the arena is almost foggy, the dust just hanging in the air. I swipe away the alert telling me that I'd awoken and healed, locking on to 2 different power levels. Mike was at about 70% of what he was before, and Majin Buu was down to half. Mike now had the advantage, but I knew that Majin Buu's ability to heal would stop that from making a difference. I've always had the potential, I think, shifting into my potential unlocked form. Bara said that his other timeline counterpart could use the Super Saiyan forms with it, and that he was quite powerful because of it. Thinking back, I remember him being nearly twice as strong as my Rose form, but that I didn't worry because I knew with Kyoken I could take him out if needed. If he could reach that level with his mixed forms, what could I do? Maybe? I thought, reaching for that little button. With a flash, I was filled with power, but I could tell it wasn't enough. Potential unlocked, SS unlocked. I pushed harder, pushed as hard as I could, forcing more energy out, flooding the air around me with my power. Potential unlocked, SS2 unlocked. Again I compared, and it wasn't enough. Mike was closer to 40 times my power level now, Majin Buu only 30 times, but even I couldn't bridge that gap. He said it wouldn't be enough. I thought, thinking back, is that even possible? I dropped back, letting Super Saiyan 2 go, leaving myself in my base potential unlocked form. High above, I could sense Majin Buu and Mike finding each other again, a new battle raging. I could feel my power swirling, the mixture of my energies deep within. With a slight twist, like opening the floodgates, I mixed everything together. Potential unlocked, SSR unlocked. My aura was pink with a white outline, the transition smooth, ending in jagged lines of energy. My hair looked no different from my normal rose form, but my power level was much, much higher. It seemed Bara was right after all, as both Mike and Majin Buu had ceased fighting, having sensed my new power level. Compared, I was almost as strong as Mike, who was almost as strong as Majin Buu. With a pop, I was much closer, looking at both of them. Mike had some scuffs and cuts, one of which was dripping down his face. Majin Buu had shrunk down, no longer as buff and muscular. He still had the telltale neon green aura of Broly's god form, though. You going to help me take Majin Buu out, Mike? I ask, keeping my eyes on Majin Buu. His nod is loud enough that I can almost hear it, so I go right ahead and move into my fighting stance. I told you, Buu, that no matter what, I would find a way to kill you. You may have been able to handle Mike on his own, but with two of us, I say, pulsing my energy back and forth. You aren't going to stand a chance. Majin Buu starts to respond, but I'm already in front of him, time slowing down as every potential unlocked form seems to do. I slam my palm into his solar plexus, transitioning into an uppercut that lifts him into the air. I bend at my knees as a kick from Mike goes over my head, slamming into Majin Buu's face, throwing him back. It seems that even in my time dilation, Ultra Instinct can keep up. I build a blazing ball of energy in my palm, flying up and throwing it like a curveball to catch Majin Buu in the stomach. As it hits, it expands, turning into a mass of spinning blades of energy that slice Majin Buu into pieces. Mike tries to charge a blast of energy to dust him, but the pieces form together, and he's already on the attack. His arm stretches instantly to crash into my cheek, knocking me aside. I miss the attack against Mike, but I hear it hit and he cry out. I pull back in and grab Majin Buu's arm as he starts to retract it, yanking him off-center towards me. I rush towards his form as he flies towards me, my arm alight with a burning blade of energy. Several bolts of energy fly in, catching Majin Buu in the side and knocking him off course to meet me. So I switch tracks and use the energy from the blade to form another blade blast. I launch the ball in an arch that I managed to time perfectly to explode right in front of Majin Buu, the energy blades again slicing him into ribbons. Mike has better timing this time, a well-timed blast slamming into the multitude of Majin Buu pieces, blasting them away. At the same time, I feel a sudden swelling of power from the murk below, showing that a piece of him had awakened just fine. Left side, I yell, bringing my hands to bear, releasing a torrent of burning energy. Mike appears behind me, releasing his own attack into the void below, trying our best to eradicate Majin Buu and any other hidden pieces. The dust below is broken down even further, the air throwing it up, filling the air even more with it. Yet, even as we coat the bottom of this dimension with energy, I can feel more and more Majin Buu signatures forming above us. I release my attack and look up, seeing another blob of pink reforming attached to the bottom of the Xenos platform. Mike turns as well, his hand coming up to blast this blob, but hesitates as he realizes the same thing I did, that attacking that blob could get us erased. A moment later, a fully formed Majin Buu is with us, attacking us as we try our best to fight back. We've shown we have the energy to destroy his form, but his regeneration is again too much to truly handle. Destroying him, again and again, will only waste energy, and the fact was that we were burning through power much faster than Majin Buu was. I could tell just from sensing Mike that he was struggling to maintain Ultra Instinct. There has to be a way. I scream internally, ducking a kick from Majin Buu that manages to clip Mike's shoulder on the full rotation. As Mike is thrown back, his aura shifts from blazing white back to the light blue of his normal aura. With a roar, Majin Buu explodes into a blob of pink, reaching for Mike's body to absorb him. With a pop, I use instant transmission to intercept the mass of pink, pushing a bunch of power into my aura to knock it back. I rush in, igniting my hand blade once more to slice through the pink, my other hand blasting half of the pink goo into atoms. The other half reforms into his body, which suddenly expands back into its muscular form, the hair tentacles sharpening as his power level skyrockets. He appears in my face almost too fast to follow, my arms barely coming up to block the punch from his massive fist. Papper papa, he yells, the air around us taking on a heavy feel. As soon as I reorient after being knocked away, he is again in my face, both knees together to slam into my chest. One of his hands grabs my shoulder, trying to pull me into his chest that opens up like a gaping mouth. I try to use instant transmission, but immediately find that his spell from earlier is the same one that he used on planet Vegeta. I quickly coil my energy before releasing it in an explosive wave, a smaller version of Finale Atonement that leaves Majin Buu looking exploded and burnt. A blast of energy comes from my right, slamming into Majin Buu's remains, but doesn't have enough power to really damage him. The force does push him away, giving us some much-needed space. I follow it up with my own concentrated blast of energy, push Majin Buu back into the murk below. Mike is in his legendary Super Saiyan God form, but his power level simply isn't on our scale anymore. Billy, I don't know if we can do this. Mike yells, flying over to me. And whose fault is that? I snap back, the frustration getting to me. If you hadn't cut off my tail, I'd probably be strong enough still to end this. I won't apologize, man. As tough as Majin Buu is, you're still a threat. Mike replies, I should kill you now so I win and worry about Majin Buu later. He's technically still on my team. I reply, tracking Majin Buu's signature. But I think I need you to end this threat. What do you have in mind? Mike asks, glancing at me. I can't hold Ultra Instinct for long now. No Senzu Beans left? Well, answer me this. Have you ever tried fusion? I ask, dropping to my base form. Are you nuts? Mike yells, hopping in front of me to block me from a potential Majin Buu. Fusion doesn't work for us. I've tried the dance in the pod era. Yeah, I know. I tried the dance as well. But let me ask this. I start, glancing down. Have you tried fusing with another gamer? The look on his face made it clear that he had not. That's what I'm thinking, at least, I explain. We can't fuse with others because they aren't real. They don't have a real mind to mix with ours. They don't have the gamer. We do, so it should be compatible. Billy, power back up. Majin Buu could attack at any moment, and he'll absorb you. Then he'll kill me, win this, and you'll be stuck within him for who knows how long. This game has never ended that way, and I don't think you want to find out what happens if it does. No, I reply. You need to try this with me. It'll take just a moment. We both know the dance. Fine. Mike replies, dropping to his base form and rotating to be next to me. Start now. I reply, sensing Majin Buu coming up from below. My Majin Buu has seen this ability before. Fu, we say, imagining ourselves as a flowing river of energy. Shaun, we say, the two rivers flowing ever closer, almost within reach. Ha, we yell, the rivers coming into contact in 2 points, flowing together, combining their strength into a single river of greater power. High above, the two remaining Grand Ministers act in concert, their motions a mirror image of one another, as they jump into the air, summoning scepters from some unknown pocket dimension. Speaking as one, in the language of the gods, they create a barrier that encapsulates the two floating platforms just moments before the blinding white-hot energy would have slammed into them. Whis brandishes his own scepter, adding his own energy into the barrier so they could hope to hold it against the onslaught. Below, Majin Buu, we said, holding his place with just an ounce of our new energy. We're a little busy at the moment. Fusion was everything I had once longed for. I could feel Mike as though he stood right next to me, behind me, in front of me. I could hear his thoughts, his feelings. I knew without thought what he wanted, needed, longed for. I knew that he knew the same of me. Our HUD was a little funky, filled with flashing symbols and random items we'd never seen before. But the most important part was easily discerned. Fusion time remaining, 2 minutes and 18.22 seconds. It was rapidly going down, counting down the seconds till it ran out. We waved our hand, launching Majin Buu away as though he was a small hindrance to continue inspecting ourselves. We immediately decided to pull up our character sheet to see what had changed. We could see that our base power levels were combined during the fusion, as were our perks, EM, and HP. As it was with all the multiplication involved, we were several times stronger in our base form combined. Add in transformations, and it was clear this battle was over. However, one thing stood out to us as odd. We have no name. Mike and Billy? We murmur, thinking as one. Of course, we are not just Scions, we are gamers. We are not just Mike and Billy, but KLL and Sprout as well. I think Clout fits us best. The two strongest Scions in this universe combined. With a push, our aura turns pink and green. Our hair, shorter on top but longer on the bottom, is a mix of pink and green hairs, showing that even within us, two gods exist. Where before Majin Buu was only slightly weaker than us, now we were multiple times stronger than he was. We could feel that even now we could go further, but it was just as obvious that we didn't need it. We dropped back to base form and ended up as a Super Saiyan 2. It wasn't the normal version, though. Where normally we'd have the spiky hair and bioelectricity only, we had put on quite a bit of muscle from Mike's legendary Super Saiyan form. Majin Buu took this chance to try and attack. We dodged his opening attack, and with a burst of speed laid into him about 20 times in a split second. His body was deformed from the damage he took in the singular moment, bent and stretched obscenely. A wave of our hand and he shattered, the pieces of his body dropping from the sky but recombining all the same. We dropped back to base form, agreeing that outclassing him by a bit wasn't good enough, and pushed back into our hybrid blue-rose form. We raised our right hand into the sky above us, pushed 30% of our power into a spiky ball of energy. We had no name for this attack but agreed that it didn't need one. We let it go, backing up slightly so that it dropped straight down. It fell slowly, not quite drifting, but slowly enough to give us time for the rest of our plan. We flew directly up, passing through the barrier that the Grand Ministers and Whis were maintaining, and landed lightly on the platform. We would suggest we all leave. We advised, meeting everyone's eyes. Whis, the final Beerus asks, staring at us. A second of silence passes, before Timeline SXS whisses a flurry of motion. Pulling his scepter back as the Grand Ministers do the same, several things happen at once. Whis's scepter portal opens, sucking Beerus inside, before it inverts, sucking Whis within as well. The scepter then fades away as though it never existed. Timeline 2's Whis opens his own portal, hopping in a repeat performance. The two Grand Ministers are speaking to the Xenos, but are rebuffed. We'll stay, they announce cheerily. We must remain to see if Majin Buu survives. Nodding, the Grand Ministers slip away into breaks in the fabric of reality. We reach out, grasping nothing between two fingers, pulling down, the fabric of reality tearing open in much the same way the Grand Ministers did. Slipping through, reality closes behind us. Far below, the small ball of energy finally reaches the bottom of the dimension, bouncing lightly once, twice, thrice. On the third bounce, it expands rapidly before everything vanishes in a soundless flash of color. Dimension 1. We pop out into an open space, surrounded by stars. A few seconds later, both Grand Ministers appear nearby, followed by the representatives of timelines 2 and 6. A moment passes in silence before both Xenos appear in a silent pop. Lord Xenos, is Majin Buu alive? We all hear in our minds. The entirety of Dimension 0 is erased. The Majin Buu within has died. They reply. We mentally reach up, hitting the button to end the fusion immediately instead of waiting out the final minute. I'm pushed to the left, while Mike is pushed to the right. I spin in space, pushing back into my potential unlocked SSR form, but immediately stop the attack. Where I was able to breathe just fine in the vacuum of space, Mike was choking. He never took that perk, apparently. I think watching him struggle. I raise my hand, preparing to end his life and end his suffering when two things happen in rapid succession. As I release the blast of energy, Mike stops choking, his body healing immediately. At the same moment, his aura, eyes, and hair turning shocking white, his body almost bending double to dodge the blast of energy. He moves to my side instantly, his fist reared back, so much faster than I can hope to respond. Just kidding, he mouths as his fist slams into my cheek, and everything goes black. My eyes opened in total darkness, and I recognized my new location. A bright light began to shine in the distance, rushing towards me. Life RPG Beta. Tutorial. New Game ++. Options. Credits. I had lost in the end. A surprise attack and an underhanded tactic to play on my compassion, and I had lost. I dropped to my knees, emotion filling me before I reached out and tapped on New Game ++. Thank you for participating in the Life RPG Beta test. We've spent a long time bug fixing, and we believe another round or two will clear things up for the full release. As a thank you for helping out, we've given you 5,000 bonus points to spend in the game store on fun perks and bonuses, and unlocked all of the modules for a New Game ++. Thanks again, and remember, it's an RPG, a life RPG. I hear before the main menu fades away, replaced with a wall of text. Name Billy KLL. Age 16. Status deceased. World the Purple Menace. Skills hidden. Score. Neutral Karma, +100. Age 10, +200. Battle School, +200. Cooler defeated, +500. Tulls defeated, +300. Super Saiyan unlocked, +100. Super Saiyan G2 unlocked, +200. Super Saiyan G3 unlocked, +300. Super Saiyan 2 unlocked, +500. Super Saiyan 4 unlocked, +1000. Divine Key unlocked, +200. Super Saiyan God unlocked, +200. Super Saiyan Rose unlocked, +500. On and on it went, listing all of my battles, all of my achievements. Even befriending Broly was worth points to this thing. All the way down the list to my defeat of the horribly named Broly. I had long since forgotten, but my use of the gamer perk cost me 2/3 of my points, as I had an advantage knowing it was a game. All the way at the end of the page was my final score. Score, 122,480. Gamer perk, -81,653. Final score, 40,826. Personal best, 40,826. As I finished reading it finally faded away, leaving me once again at the world selection screen. I couldn't describe what I currently felt, but I wasn't a fan. It was much like the melancholy I would feel at the end of a fantastic book, or the end of a video game series. An emptiness in my heart as I said goodbye to the life I'd lived for 11 years. I thought back to the friends I had made, and the lives I had changed. I thought back to the lives I had taken, and the mistakes I had made. With a jolt, I came to a realization. I can change things. I can fix my mistakes. I can make a difference. I say, my words echoing around me. Bara, Broly, fuck it, even Sana. I can fix it all, and win this game next time. Nodding to myself, I reached out, and selected the Purple Menace. With a swoosh, the world went black again, leaving me on the character creation screen. Another tap, and 3 quick letters. I was taking the first step into my new life. Name KLL. Race Scion. I whisper to myself as I enter my information. I pop open the perk list and smile to myself. Looks like this time, my power will be legendary. Name KLL. Title, Super Saiyan God Gamer. Race Scion. Age 16 years. Status alive. LVL, 35. 14,078, 550/29, 500,000 XP. 15,421,450 XP till level 36. Stats. S8, +492, 500. Pete4, +128, 132. Ebe8, +492, 500. Sieve3, +85, 88. Ibe6, +73, 79. Ape6, +182, 188. L5, +66, 71. Health. Strength X, Endurance X, Level X20. 500 by 500x, 35 by 20, equals 175,000,000 HP. Energy. Scion. Strength x endurance equals base energy. Base energy x battles equals energy regen. Energy regen x level equals power level. Power level x energy modification equals total power. 500 times 500 is equal to 250,000. 250,000 times 15.0 is equal to 3,750,000. 3,750,000 times 35 is equal to 131,250,000. 131,250,000 x 257.80 equals 33,836, 250,000 ***. Base energy, 250,000. Energy regen, 3,750,000. Power level, 131,250,000. Energy modifier, 257.80. Final power level, 33,836, 250,000 ***. Final power level with Super Scion multiplier, 4398, 750,000 ***. Final power level potential unlocked, 68, 347, 110, 234, 375 ***. Final power level potential unlocked SS, 136, 694, 224, 68, 750 ***. Final power level potential unlocked SS2, 1377, 778, 263, 750 ***. Final power level potential unlocked SSR, 77, 086, 996, 955, 595, 700 ***. Final power level with Super Scion 2 multiplier, 407, 190,000,000 ***. Final power level with Super Scion God Imperfect, 186,196,654,218,750. Final power level with Super Scion God, 222,309,271,406,250. Final power level with Super Scion Rose, 257,658,177,656,250. Final power level with Super Scion 4, 97,534,500,000,000. Final power level with Super Scion 4 God, 57,311,330,168,531,300. Final power level with Super Scion 4 Rose, 84,650,174,262,281,300.